So my name is Beau Breeden. I'm the president of the Broadneck Council of Communities. I'm also the secretary of the Cape St. Clair Improvement Association and the vice president of the Eastern District Police Relations Council, all volunteer gigs. Myself, this is Pat Lynch, one of the co-founders of the Broadneck Council. John joins, a board member, Roy Richard, Ginny Jones, George McNeal, Peter Bradley, and Rick Griswold at the camera, microphone. This will be recorded and replayed later through our website and Facebook, just so everybody's aware. For the day, all candidates, you'll have 2 minutes and 15 seconds to start. You will hear me at that point, so not to interrupt you. At that point, at 2:45, I'll probably do that again, and at 3, I will stand up and move to the next candidate. We have a brief presentation from State Highways that will kick off, and we'll let the state workers get back to their families, from that perspective. So, State Highway Administration, Kim Tran, Kelly Boulware, floor is yours to start on announcements of the summer Route 50 traffic plans.
All right. Yeah. Good evening, everybody. And thanks, Beau, for inviting us out tonight. Again, I'm Kimberly Tran. I'm the district engineer for the State Highway Administration for our District 5, which handles all of Anne Arundel County, along with Calvert, Charles, and St. Mary's County. And with me here tonight, I have our assistant district engineer for traffic, Bob Oalabi, and our community relations manager, Kelly Boulware. So Beau asked us to come out tonight and give you all an update. I know many of you, especially if you're frequent coming to these meetings, are familiar with what we do the last several summers for ramp management as we get into the Reach the Beach season with all the traffic going over the Bay Bridge. So I just want to give you a real quick update on what our plans are for this summer. The interchange that's closest to the Bay Bridge at Sandy Point, Oceanic Drive, that is exit 32. That on-ramp onto eastbound 50 on the weekends, we've been closing that on-ramp, and the reason is to try to curtail people from using the service roads and cutting all the way to the end and then jumping onto Route 50 to bypass the freeway queues. So we're going to continue that this summer. This year, we've had a lot of requests to please add back in Thursdays and Sundays. So we're going to do that this summer. He said no clapping, no cheering. That also means no booing either, okay? So starting actually 2 weeks from today, I can't believe it's coming up already. We're starting the weekend before Memorial Day weekend, which is really only 2 weeks from now. Can you believe that? Preakness weekend. Thursday, May 14th, starting at 10 a.m., the entrance ramp at exit 32 will be closed Thursdays from 10 a.m. through Sunday at 6 p.m. And that'll be every weekend through Labor Day weekend. So it starts again up in 2 weeks. Last year, when we were able to procure those gates, we have a gate that we close now, which really helped us with our manpower, because we had to literally park a dump truck out there 24/7, and our guys had to man it. So it's been a little bit easier. So again, exit 32, Thursdays through Sunday, starting 2 weeks from today. Really, that's it. Okay. So I do want to give an opportunity to open it up to some questions. I think we're going to make this real quick. It looks like it's almost like speed dating tonight, so we're going to make our part really quick so you can get to the more important part of the agenda tonight. But I will open it up if anybody has any quick questions for us.
I was looking to take it max 5 just to kind of keep the time, but go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are there any updates on the new Bay Bridge?
MDTA, which is not State Highway Administration, but the new Bay Bridge, I have to look at my expert. I haven't heard any latest.
The decision of record, or the record of decision, is supposed to be later this fall. They're in that process now. If you attended the last set of meetings or the online presentations, that's due out in November or December, end of year, basically. And that would be the set that where you end study 2 and you move into construction design phase of those things, according to their websites and all.
Great. Thanks, Beau.
Yeah, you're welcome. We have information on our website, too, at Broadneck Council that links to those different things that you can check out. And, of course, you can go to the Bay Bridge Crossing, I think it is their website.com or .net. Any other questions on the Bay Bridge Route 50 traffic? I would say it's good for all of us that we have Thursdays and Sundays back at work in year 1. Years 2 and 3 are a little rougher. Glad they listen to meetings like this to bring that to us. Should be better for the Broadneck residents, a little bit better. We'll never solve it all until there's new bridges.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed. Yeah.
no other questions? We'll get right into candidates. Well, we'll be way ahead of schedule in theory. Okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. Up to 20 total speakers, cell phones off. This is your opportunity to learn about each candidate's platform, and then later on engage them both here over some food and refreshments, and then also obviously go to their websites, check out the information that you need to make an informed decision in June, and again later in November. I was thinking about that for a second. So we're going to kick this off with Anne Arundel County State's Attorney's candidates, and the first one up is Carolynn Grammas. And Carolynn,
My name is Carolynn Grammas. I am a Democrat running for State's Attorney for Anne Arundel County, Maryland. I've been a resident for 23 years. I'm a wife, a mother, and I am a proud yaya. In other words, I am a grandmother. The fundamental purpose of the State's Attorney's Office is to prosecute cases. That mission is not being accomplished at this point. In 2023, 72% conviction rate for felony cases. That's dropped to about 45% this year. And part of that reason is because of discovery violations, because of It is because of turnover within the State's Attorney's Office. There are 62 spots for attorneys in the State's Attorney's Office, and there has been approximately 80 attorneys in the last 8 years that have overturned, and that is causing problems within the State's Attorney's Office. So why are we having these types of problems? And I'm going to discuss two reasons, and one is that turnover, and the second is the discovery violations. Just this week, in the papers were about a prosecutor being removed from a murder case and that defendant being released on house arrest because of delays by the State's Attorney's Office. That is to the core of why I became a prosecutor. And in order to understand why I became a prosecutor, I have to take you back to the beginning of my journey. And that's when I was in college. My best friend was murdered by a serial killer at a party that I was supposed to be at. It was the most devastating thing that's happened in my life. I have spent years dealing with survivor's guilt, and it taught me that behind every case is a victim that deserves to be heard, to have their day in court, to be informed. And so that has guided everything that I have done. I have been a prosecutor in this county for 25 years. I know every corner of that office. I've prosecuted every type of case within that office. I know how to train lawyers to be prepared for trial, and I know how to install the culture of the office so that there are not discovery violations. I'm not a career politician. I am not backed by the political machine, but I am backed by the people who understand what's happening in the court system. And that is the Fraternal Order of Police have endorsed me, and I want to read quickly what they have said. I am known for professionalism, preparation, commitment to both fairness and accountability, qualities that are essential to restoring the confidence in the State's Attorney's Office. Tomorrow, a second agency is going to be endorsing me. The Sheriff's Deputies Union is going to be endorsing me tomorrow, the deputies that are in the courtroom every day watching prosecutions and the problems within the office. I love this community. I fight for victims, and I fight for public safety, and I ask for your vote on June 23rd. Carolynn Grammas.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ann Leitess, and I'm your Anne Arundel County State's Attorney, and I've worked in this office for more than 36 years. I have run this office for 9 years in budget every year and an $18 million budget with 155 staff and up to 62 attorneys. And one of the most frightening things that happened to law enforcement all around was the George Floyd murder. And it impacted police because police suddenly felt like you could not trust them. And they resigned in droves. And you could not get new people to apply to become police officers. We have a shortage in Anne Arundel County. We have a shortage nationwide of police officers. You know what else we have a shortage of? People being trained to be prosecutors, because the message was, it's not a good job to be a prosecutor. You should be a public defender or a defense attorney. So the law schools are not hiring, they're not promoting prosecution. So we have to promote prosecutors. Any turnover that we have is only equal to the turnover for firefighters, police, and nationwide for prosecutors. So what do we do to make good prosecutors? We train them and we recruit in the local law schools to get good people. What does it mean to run an office? It not just to be a good fiscal responsible leader, but it's to be a leader in all cases. I prosecuted the Capitol Gazette mass shooter and defeated his insanity plea. I have prosecuted gang leaders who've ordered hits, serial rapists, child abusers, and murderers. And I take exception that this office is not run professionally because it's such a good office that the judges in our county send their law clerks to work for me. And if people leave our office and decide the grass isn't greener on the other side, guess what they do? They come back to me, one of the leading prosecutors in the state of Maryland, unafraid to take on cases, unafraid to appeal wrong decisions by judges. And about 1 in 8, 1 in 12 decisions of judges are actually overturned on appeal in our appellate courts. So I stand up for victims of crime, I stand up for families, and I stand up against abuses by anyone who would violate our rights. And sometimes that includes police officers, and sometimes that includes other people. And I'm your only candidate who has spoken up about ICE. If you read in the paper recently, the man who was accused of trying to run down the ICE officers in Glen Burnie, he just pled guilty the other day to causing a fender bender. Not to causing harm to those agents, but for hitting their car when he tried to flee for his life. I am the only candidate who will stand up for your rights, who will fight for justice for you, and will take the tough cases unflinchingly to court. I'm Ann Colt Leitess, and I am the only real Democrat running for this job. Thank you.
Sheriff's Office, starting with Jim Fredericks. There you go, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. I'm Jim Fredericks. I am running for sheriff. I am a lifelong county resident, and I dedicated my 30-year law enforcement career to protecting the citizens of this county. 26 years with the Anne Arundel County Police Department, and then 4 years as your elected sheriff from 2018 to 2022. Now I am a private security contract manager working in the federal judiciary in Washington, D.C. What I did when I was the sheriff from 2018 to 2022, one, we managed during COVID. That was hard enough. But we did some great things in there. We got in there and put in a very progressive plan that wanted to move that agency from the 1990s, where it was stuck in, to the modern era, and I think we did that. We obtained a brand new 14,000 square foot facility for Sheriff's Office field operations, which was an incredible boost to that with that plan. We put in place what was called a Safe Surrender program. That was a first in Maryland program, and it still hasn't been duplicated, that worked with attorneys, judges, and offenders, and put online a database of open warrants that allowed us to safely serve warrants and reduce the number of overall warrants in the county, which was a great working program, and I plan on expanding that program to increase that warrant reduction. We also increased the number by budget, increased the number of deputies by 8, and we increased the number of civilian positions by 3 in the office in that 4 years that we were in there. And that was the highest number of increased positions in 20 years of history of the Sheriff's Office, prior 20 years. The last thing I want to mention is that we improved technology across the agency. Not only did we provide for new technology that they had been lagging behind in, but the most notable one, I think, was the body-worn camera program. We didn't have one when I got there. We got the visual of what we wanted to do for that, worked with the police department and the county to get that done. We instituted that program. We had it fully up and operational, and we did that 3 years in advance of what the new state mandate was going to be for that. So we were very proud of that accomplishment as well. Moving forward into the future, what do I want to do? Very simple. I want to use the knowledge I've gained in the private industry, working in that federal judicial side, but on the private side of that, I've learned a great deal doing that in 3 years. I want to leverage all that knowledge that we've gained to not only improve efficiencies with our courthouse, but there are technologies that we could bring there, I think, that not only are going to make things safer for deputies, but safer for this community. Whenever we can reduce warrants and we can serve warrants more efficiently and more safely, it impacts every community, not just the Broadneck community here, not just the Cape, but it affects everybody across the county. I'm Jim Fredericks. I ask for your vote. I am willing to stay as long as you want to ask me questions afterward. I think it's important for you to get to know us as much as you can, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. My name is James McNeal. I'm running for the Sheriff of Anne Arundel County, the Office of the Sheriff. I want to tell everyone here a little bit about me. My background is in business and in law enforcement. I'm retired from Annapolis City. I have 5 businesses here in Anne Arundel County that I'm part of. I have a firm that has modern technology called ADA Technologies, and what we do, we're a consulting firm, and we bring technology forward. I've worked on many, many projects that bring new technology, whether it's drones, whether it's technology to help the public. AI is one of the big platforms that I've been working for the last 12 years. So I want to bring that technology to the Sheriff's Office to improve what the current Sheriff is doing currently now. He's got some good ideas, but we're going to make them on steroids. We're going to better those ideas and expand those. I want community involvement. I want the community, all of Anne Arundel County. The Sheriff serves everyone. Doesn't matter party, it doesn't matter any of that. We serve all. And I want to open it up. I want to have bi-weekly community meetings where you meet the Sheriff. You'll also be meeting the chiefs of police or their representatives on a bi-weekly basis, so you know what's going on. We understand what's going on in your community. We want to work together with the community to make things happen. We need your involvement. Also, community leaders. We want to do at least 4 forums throughout the year, every year for the 4-year term, where we're talking to the community and letting them know what our progress is in the Sheriff's Office and how we're moving forward. There's still a backlog of warrants. We need to address that. Technology's there. We can do that. I have that technology we can bring forward. I'm a big grant person. Use the federal funds that are out there. I had grant writers in the office that I was in the past. We used that money and saved Annapolis City a lot of money, bringing technology to the residents of Annapolis City. So this is one of the biggest things I think is going to benefit the community as a whole. It's all about community. I want to bring in volunteers within that office also that are going to help some of the backlog stuff. They'll be trained of the warrants and stuff that pre-exist now. So these are big issues that we need to address. And I think that the community working together with the Sheriff's Office will make that effort much, much better. So I want to thank everyone here this evening. Go to McNeal, 4sheriff.com to check me out, or McNeal4sheriff@gmail.com. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'll take that back.
Well, first of all, thank you for having this. I really appreciate it. And thank everybody for coming. I know there's other important things you'd probably like to do this evening. Real quickly about myself, I'm a father. I'm also a son and a husband. My beautiful wife is somewhere around here taking my picture and all that stuff. So thank you for being here. Now, a little bit about myself. Born and raised here in Anne Arundel County. When I wanted to get into law enforcement, I called the Anne Arundel County Police and they weren't hiring. So I went to Prince George's County. So that's where I learned about policing. I learned how to be a police officer, and one of the more important things is I learned how to work with the community. I retired in 2012 at the rank of major. I thought my career in law enforcement was over. I thought I was done. But then I said, no, I still want to be involved. I still have a passion to do the job. And I was fortunate enough to be appointed by Governor Hogan to be the executive director of the Maryland Police Training and Standards Commission. And what that means is if you want to be a police officer in the state of Maryland during that time, or a deputy, you had to carry a card that had my name on it. Now, the fact that I was appointed, that means a lot. But you know what really means more? Is the fact that that commission, which is made up of sheriffs and police chiefs from across this state, they gave the governor my name. They felt enough about me to say, hey, this is the guy for the job. So now I'm the sheriff here in Anne Arundel County. So what have I done? We had a over 20% vacancy rate when I took office. People said that you'll never be able to close that vacancy rate. I closed the vacancy rate. We got 9 people right now that we're looking to hire because we have people that turnover. But that vacancy rate is now gone because I showed people who are interested in the job what law enforcement is about, what we can do for them. I stood up the first internal affairs for the Anne Arundel County Sheriff's Office. We investigated the crimes, but we didn't have the office. It's now staffed with a captain, full-time investigator, and I took the body-worn camera unit and put it in internal affairs. Because understand this, it's not just enough to look at video after the fact when something tragic happens. We got to look at it on a regular, continuous basis. And that's what we do now. Because what happens now may be a training issue, but if we let it continue, then it becomes a criminal issue. So technology, we now have drones, and we're getting 3 more drones. So when our deputies go to homes and things like that, they can put a drone up over the house to have that aerial surveillance. Deputies didn't have cars at first. Every deputy in the sheriff's office now has a car. That just backfills the county police to ensure protection throughout the county. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you very much for having us, and thank you very much for coming out to listen to what we have to say. You have the benefit of having the tallest candidate and the shortest candidate come to speak to you. So I am MK Fowler, and I am running to be your next clerk of court. A little bit about me. I'm an attorney. I've been a lawyer for over 30 years. And the past 7 years, I've been your chief deputy clerk, meaning I am in the office every day, been running the office of 130 clerks. These 130 clerks take your documents and your paperwork and make sure that it gets you the access to justice that you need. And being an attorney, I clearly understand what it is and what it takes to have excellent customer service, which is what you need. People who are coming to the clerk's office are coming for a variety of reasons. One of the reasons could be that you're getting married and you need a marriage certificate. You might be starting a small business. You would be coming to us as well. But there are other things that you're coming to the court for, and sometimes it's your worst day. You've been in a car accident and the insurance companies are not agreeing on how much to resolve that case. Your marriage has gone sideways. Or you have an elderly parent or family member who needs guardianship. And when those bad days are happening and you come to our office, you need to have a clerk that has understanding and excellent customer service. And because of my years of experience in this office and in the justice system, I understand how important that is, and I also understand at a fundamental level what kind of training the clerks need to be able to provide the service that you deserve. We are working on efficiency to make sure our paperwork that we receive from you gets to the judge for your case to be heard so that you have access to justice, which is so important. We want to do that efficiently and we want to do that error-free, and that is what we're working on. So again, very quickly, my name is MK Fowler. I'm hoping that you ask me some more questions about what the clerk's office does for you in the community, and I'm looking for your vote come November. Thank you very much.
Good for you. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm Doug Graham, running for court clerk. I've covered courts in a different way. I wasn't a member of the court. I wasn't an insider. I was a reporter. And I used to cover court, not here in this county, but in Texas as a reporter. And so I have I think a very good and a different viewpoint in terms of being more of a client, a customer like you. But I share the same desire as Ms. Fowler, that we need to work very hard to make sure that we're as fast and accurate and less expensive as possible, because it's a service that's done for everybody, not just not for the court, but for everybody in the county. There's almost 200,000 records that are being kept by the clerk of the court. And so I would just pledge myself to do as good a job as possible for the people of this county, and I ask for your vote come November.
Well, good evening, and thank you to everyone for being here tonight, and thank you to the Broadneck Council of Communities for hosting this event. So, my name is Courtney Buiniskis, and I am running to be your next Register of Wills. I'm a wife, a mother, an educator, a lifelong resident of Anne Arundel County, and a very proud community advocate. In my current position, I work with Councilwoman Lisa Robdian in the legislative branch, where I help the councilwoman with legislation, serving thousands of constituents, and working with city, county, and state officials on an everyday basis. Working with the councilwoman has been very informative. Working with her to pass legislation, which is a complex system of county lawyers, county auditors, county codes, different departments. It's getting the real work done for residents and communities such as yourself. I also did similar work in the county executive's office in the executive branch, where I was a community engagement officer, where I served over 3 different districts. That's over thousands of people. And I created informational sessions in this position, which is still implemented today, to teach residents how to access their government services. Because for me, education is important. And as an educator, keeping the residents and community informed will always be a top priority for me. So my work in the community has led many people that you trust to trust me. The local officials know this as well. I've been endorsed by over 18 individuals from the county, city, and state, including County Executive Pittman, to the Sheriff, Everett Sesker, Clerk of Court, Scott Boyer. They know and understand that I work with the people and I get the job done. They understand that my experience matters. So I will say that endorsements are important, but so are experiences. And sadly, my own experiences with the Register of Wills office, with probate court, and my multiple family losses, let me tell you folks, I know there is work to be done in that office with education and getting in front of that probate process. So that being said, that's where I come in. The Register of Wills has to do more than oversee the probate process. They need to do the outreach and education work, because if they don't, it is costing families high legal fees. And experts in probate law have advocated for this for years. So being an educator, engaging in the communities for over a decade with strong leadership skills and connections, it's what sets me apart from my opponent. While working in the executive and legislative branches of the government, I plan to bring these skills and trades and experience to the judicial branch. Thank you for your time. This went by really quickly. If you have more questions for me, I'll be in the back. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jasmine Jackson, and I am your current Register of Wills for Anne Arundel County, Maryland. A little bit about myself. I am a mother of 2. I am a lifelong Anne Arundel County resident, and I have spent the last 18 years in the Register of Wills office. I was hired under Lauren M. Parker, who was a long-standing register, and when she lost her election in 2022, we did get a new elected official who was unfortunately removed from office. And our Orphans court, which is the court that we serve under, found that the person who was the most experienced and who could actually handle the role was me. And that is why I was appointed in that role. A lot of times people ask me, why are you running for Register of Wills? I am running because after working for under 2 registers, one with experience and one without, I found that it was important to keep someone in the office who understands the work of the office, who cares about the work of the office, and who is not a career politician. The Register of Wills office is the office that you do come to when you lose one of your loved ones and you do have to go through the probate process. That process is very, very, very difficult, and it is hard sometimes for families, not because of the legalities of it, but just because the nature of them being there in general. It does require you to have compassion. It requires you to have care for the work that you do. It requires you to understand legal jargon. It requires you to understand laws and how to apply it. It's not something that you can just learn on the job. When you are coming that office, you have to know what you're doing. Families, they are relying on the Register of Wills to guide them through that process. That is the education piece that we do when you need it at the time. I do have the support of the attorneys within this county, and it's not because there's a favoritism issue. It is because they know if there's an estate that is not complicated, they do not want to charge you to manage that estate. They will refer us to the Anne Arundel County Register of Wills because they know we are going to get the job done for them with efficiency and with care, and it does save them money. So again, my name is Jasmine Jackson. This is work I've been doing for almost 20 years, and this is work I want to continue to do because I'm very proud of the office that I have served since I was 19. Thank you.
Good evening. I have good news and bad news. The good news is you're halfway through. The bad news is you're halfway through. So, my name is Elizabeth Adams. I'm a lifelong Anne Arundel County resident. I'm a hometown girl, and I'm running for judge. I started my career in law at 23 years of age, which meant that I graduated from college at 19 and high school at 15. I have been consistently in the area of state and local government since 2008. And I came up in the state's attorney's office. I served in the trenches with both Ms. Leitess and Ms. Grammas. I'm happy to say they were both great to work with. My career is one of public service. And being a part of state and local government has given me the opportunity to have a wide range of cases that I'm responsible for and a large number of policy issues that we have to fix so government works well for its citizens. If you think about the roads that you drove in on today, that's government. You think about the tax that's in your gas tank, well, that's government too. Government touches so much of everything that we do. You put your head on the pillow at night, you know if something happens, you can call 911. That's government. Government gets it right. Government sometimes gets it wrong. And when it gets it wrong, it's important that government is held to the same standard as everybody else. Fair and impartial justice is applied across the board. Nobody gets favors, nobody gets treated differently. One of the most severe cases that I dealt with in my term at the AG's office, and I was the tort litigation manager, so I was responsible for every piece of tort litigation that came in against the state of Maryland under the Tort Claims Act, was a case where DSS didn't do their job. They were supposed to get a kid out of the house. They decided that they were going to let him stay there. They put a parenting plan in place. And then lo and behold, I have a case on my desk with a 4-year-old on a gurney, and it's his autopsy photos because they didn't do their job. So I understand that there are tough decisions that judges have to make, and I have what it takes to make them. I have been vetted. I have been found among the most qualified. My name has been forwarded to the governor, and I hold the highest rating available by the State Bar Association. I am your hometown girl. Thank you for your time. I'm asking for your consideration on your vote on June 23rd.
Yes. Good evening, and thanks for the opportunity. My name is Sidney Butcher, and I am now the actual judge on the circuit court for Anne Arundel County. I want to talk a little bit about the process because the judge race is unlike any of the other races that you're going to have to make a decision on. Every candidate has gone through the process or should have gone through the process in order to try to get on the bench. And I can tell you that I've gone through the process, and I was first appointed to the bench, the district court bench, by Governor Hogan in 2018, and then I was elevated to the circuit court this past December. So I've been on the job doing the decisions in the district court and the circuit court for Anne Arundel County. I am a father, a husband, and a terrible soccer coach for my 2 young daughters. My career has been spent in public service. I started off as a prosecutor in the state's attorney's office in Baltimore City, where I was focusing on going after the violent repeat offenders, trying to make sure that our community was safe. In addition to that, I went after correctional officers or individuals that had a high level of trust within our government that were impacting us as a former assistant attorney general with the Medicaid fraud unit. that were basically wasting and abusing and committing fraud with our dollars. I've spent time in private practice as well, representing individuals, so I know what it's like for an individual that has to go into the courtroom and have to face some serious consequences and trying to walk them through that process. Now, in terms of the process, and there's something that I want to make sure that we all know. When an individual decides that they want to be on the bench, they have to go through a process where they talk to at least 12 to 13 different organizations that will vet those individuals. And then you have to go through the Judicial Nominating Commission. And then based off of that interview with the commission, they decide that they're going to forward your name to the governor. So unlike any of the other positions, this judicial race is nonpartisan. It's on both ballots, the Democrat as well as Republican ballot. And I've gotten, I was appointed by a Republican, by a Democrat. I have the background and experience. I've been doing the job. And you should really ask each of the candidates what they've actually gone through, if they've actually been vetted, and if they were rejected. I've not been rejected by any commission, and I have not been rejected by any governor. I would appreciate your vote. I'm running with Judge Jackson-Stevenson. We both have the most judicial experience in this particular race. We've been doing the job for years. We've been working on behalf of the community day in and day out. And we would like your vote. Thank you.
After being interviewed by 12 to 13 bar associations, I was found qualified, more than qualified. After that, my name then was sent to the Judicial Nomination Commission of Anne Arundel County and was interviewed by them. After that, my name was sent to the governor, and I was then interviewed by the governor. The governor found that I was qualified, and the governor appointed me. My name is Ginina Jackson-Stevenson, and I am a judge on the circuit court for Anne Arundel County. They found me qualified because I started my career as a trial attorney. I spent 7 years in the Office of the Public Defender, trying cases that stemmed from urinating in public all the way to murder cases. And then I became a businesswoman. I had my own business for 10 years, and I was in private practice. I handled personal injury cases. I handled family law cases. I also handled police misconduct cases. And I practiced in state and federal court. Then I was interviewed by the 12 judges that were on the circuit court for Anne Arundel County. And they found me qualified to become a magistrate. And I served as a magistrate from 2020 until 2023 when Governor Moore appointed me as a judge. So I've been serving on the bench for almost 6 years. I've been doing the job. When people come into my courtroom, I want them to leave feeling that they've been heard, because I get to see people on their worst days of their lives. And when they leave my courtroom, I want them to feel that this judge has heard what I'm saying. I may not agree with what she said or what her ruling was, but at least I know that she heard what I was saying. I am a mother, I'm a wife, well, wife first, and then I'm also a mother. And unlike Judge Butcher, I actually played soccer in college. But that's just a joke between the two of us. So I am asking for your vote. I am Judge Ginina Jackson-Stevenson, and remember the two in the middle, Butcher and Jackson-Stevenson, for judge of the Circuit Court for Anne Arundel County.
Probably be.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you, Claire. I'm Rowena Nelson, for those of you who do not know me, and I am running for judge for the Circuit Court of Anne Arundel County. A little bit about me. In addition to being a lawyer for the last 21 years, I do hold a private pilot's license. I am instrument rated, and when I am not in the courtroom, I free my mind and I fly around the eastern seaboard and to Canada. In addition to being a licensed attorney, it's also important to be physically, mentally, and emotionally prepared for this job. For that, I am. I am licensed to practice in Maryland, in state courts, and also the federal court. I'm licensed to practice in the District of Columbia, in the DC Superior Court, and also the federal courts in the District of Columbia. I am licensed to practice in Virginia, in the state courts, and also the federal courts. All three of my licenses are active, and I do practice in all three jurisdictions. How is that important when I'm applying for this position? It is. Cross-border experience is very important. There are a lot of residents who are going in between Maryland, District of Columbia, and Virginia. In addition to that, I'm the only candidate here who has done 20 appellate cases. After practicing for 21 years, I hold my own law firm where I've done family law cases extensively, criminal law cases, and I also handle bankruptcy law cases. At this point, I believe that I am uniquely qualified for this position, and while you've heard to qualify for the circuit court, you can go through a vetted process. However, you are really vetted by the people, and that is why we're here. It is an elected position, and you get to select. The panel can select, but ultimately, you make the final decision, not the panel. It is an elected position. I am asking for your vote. I'm asking for your support. Thank you.
Okay.
So I am Marc Knapp, and I'm running for re-election to the Orphans Court. For those of you who don't know what the Orphans Court is, it is the other states call it the probate court, a more descriptive name. But the Orphans Court name dates back, I don't know, 500 or so years to England. And the idea behind this court was it was a court that would oversee the estates where parents died, and it was just the kids who were inheriting. And the criterion to be a member, judge on the Orphans Court back then was you had to be a landowner. And it kind of made sense because the estates back then were landed estates. And the presumption there, sure, was that if you could, manage your own land, you could manage, this kid's land until he reached the age of majority. Moving forward to the criteria for the county to be an Orphans Court judge in this county today, they got rid of the requirement that you have to be a landowner. And they replaced it basically with nothing. The only criteria to be a judge on the Orphans Court is that you be a county resident and you can afford $25 as a filing fee. But this, I have learned, being on the court now for a few years, this is really a very serious position. And it requires, some training, experience, expertise. A lot of stuff that we do is fairly routine, straightforward, but there is certainly a decent percentage of it, and I'm sure my colleagues who have been on the court, my current colleague, prior colleagues on the court, understand this. And so, I implore you all, when you are looking to make a decision as to who you're going to vote for, look seriously into the qualifications of the individual to do that. Also, I really want to quick address sort of the elephant in the room. Anybody who has read the newspapers over the past few years know I am the poster child for everything that is wrong with the Maryland judiciary system. Let me just kind of say this. One of my colleagues, her actions resulted in 2 civil charges against me and either 5 or 6 criminal charges, I forget the exact number. And the newspapers really loved this. I mean, this was sensational as all get out. And so this was big news in the papers. What they didn't report was that the first civil charge was just dismissed by a judge without there being a hearing. The second one, well, there was an actual hearing on the merits. We got halfway through and the judge said, no, there are no merits to these charges. I didn't put any defense. It was kicked out. Of the criminal charges.
Time to wrap up.
Okay. Of the criminal charges, all but the last one dismissed by the prosecutors. They didn't pursue it. The last one dismissed by a judge on an evidentiary hearing.
Hello, friends. Thank you all for being here. My name is Loni Moyer, candidate for Judge of the Orphans Court from Anne Arundel County. By quick introduction of me, I am a 4th-generation Anne Arundel County citizen. My people were watermen in Eastport until my father, who made it was a big deal. He was the first person in his family to go to college and to pursue a career outside of being a waterman. He became a politician. He was, at 31 years old, he was elected mayor of Annapolis, at that time the youngest mayor in the country. 40 years later, my mother also served as the first woman, first and thus far only female mayor of Annapolis in 300 years. That's Pip Moyer and Ellen Moyer. Fast forward to me, I'm Loni Moyer. Quick introductions. I have been happily unwed to the same man for 25 years. It's a non-unconventional relationship, but one that works very well for us. We have 5 godchildren. We have a great dog. We have good health, and I have a curious mind, and that mind has led me to be interested in serving on the judge of the Orphans Court, as a judge on the Orphans Court. I believe in representative government. I believe that any position that is elected matters, and the way we represent on that court reflects the ability of a government to function. I know that many of us don't really know what the Orphans Court does, and that's a great thing, because it would be great if none of us ended up there, if none of us ended up in probate because estates were handled so beautifully before people passed. But the reality is that isn't always the case. We may all have had experiences where we've lost loved ones. It's emotional. And then there is what I call the business of death. And we have to sort out estates that can, if we're lucky, our family is all getting along. If we're unlucky, we need some help working that out. That is the function of the Orphans Court. For 250 years, that court has functioned as an efficient, really low-cost way of resolving these disputes, and it has never required that judges on that court have a background in law, or that they be lawyers, or that they be judges. I am the only one running, I believe, that does not have a background in law. I have had my own business, Garden Girls Landscaping, for 25 years. I have a background in problem solving, in communication, in learning, and I am, with the training that is offered to anyone elected, I am certain that I can represent the families and represent and serve the families of Anne Arundel County as a judge of the Orphans Court. I ask for your support and vote on June 23rd. Thank you very much. Bye.
I'm Matt O'Connell, and I'm running for judge of the Orphans Court. Thank you, Beau.
Yep.
I'm a District 30 do-something Democrat. And I want to compliment you not only for this clubhouse having all this parking, but these windows. We get to look out here and we see the Magothy. And the Magothy has a special place in my heart. In 2001, my wife and I moved here a couple months after we were married. We moved to Cape Arthur. Anyone familiar with Cape Arthur? You go up the Magothy, down to Cypress Creek. It's a beautiful little community with the beach. You know, back then you could buy a single-family house. Yeah, it was $200,000. You know, and great schools, great people, right? And so it's good to be back here. I don't know what heaven's like, but I'm sure there's a sailboat up there somewhere, right? So, about me, I'm an attorney. I've been practicing 25 years in Maryland. I'm a member of the Anne Arundel Bar Association. I've mostly spent my career as a solo in small firms. What does that say about me? To survive in that kind of environment, you have to be competent, easy to work with, and reliable, right? You have to be a person of your word. Most of my work has been in real estate, transactional, and litigation work. A lot of problem solving, a lot of hand holding, but it's fun. I love practicing every day. Now, our Orphans Court sits 2 days a week. It's a part-time job for the judges, and we kind of got the circuit court in between, but we are the court with the Register of Wills, right? We're a separate court with the Register of Wills. We work together, and we have the potential to be the best Orphans Court and Register of Wills combination in the state of Maryland. Now, there has been a lot of press. I encourage all of you not just to meet the candidates, but to Google the candidates. Find out about the candidates. Make up your mind. Read. Determine. Our Orphans Court's a 3-judge panel. We sit together. It is an attorney and a lay court. I think that's good. I think a lot of the people that come before us, just like myself, small business owners, regular people, and that kind of perspective can be very helpful and go a long way. Need judges who are, of course, civil, respectful, and open-minded.
You have 30 seconds.
I have 30 seconds?
30
Well, again,
seconds.
thank you for being here. Vote, do your research. And one shout out. There are a lot of our judges on the circuit court and the district court are former state's attorneys. Now, I have a soft spot in my heart for Judge Jackson-Stevenson, who's a public defender. And not only is she a great jurist, she's an even better person. So get to know her. We need her on our circuit court. Judge Butcher is great as well. I'm sure Judge Adams is very well qualified, and Ms. Rowena. But do your homework, vote. Thank you for being here. This election matters. Don't skip the down ballots. Please know who you're going to vote for. Don't go in and guess. Don't skip. These are important races. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the Broadneck Council of Communities for hosting this event and for taking an active role in discussing the issues that matter in this upcoming election. We've already heard a little bit about what the Orphans Court does, so my name is Alan Rzepkowski, and I'm a candidate for the judge of the Orphans Court. I think a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month or two ago, I completed a League of Women Voters survey about being a candidate for the judge of the Orphans Court, and I think those questions and answers will work well for what I'm going to discuss tonight. Qualifications, why are you running for the judge of the Orphans Court, and what experience do you have with the state's guardianships and trusts? Well, I served as an Orphans Court judge from 2014 to 2018 and elected to serve during that time. So I bring that to that bench, that past experience and a knowledge of the state's and trust law. As I did back then, I will bring that fairness, strong ethics, and a strong family background and service to my community. I served 15 years as a board member of the business student group, 8 years of service to my county political party, 2 years as a member of the Anne Arundel County Board of Elections, and more than 35 years as a small business owner. Administration, what standards will you implement? Well, public trust is important in any office for families that are facing the death of a loved one, and navigating the estate process is not always easy, and that's the purpose of the Register of Wills, to bring those folks in and to get them through that process, and then if necessary, come before the judge of the Orphans Court. Ethics, what steps will you take to ensure fairness and impartiality? Well, we're all equal under the law, and obviously this also applies to estates and trusts when judges are faced with making fair and unbiased decisions for families based on the facts that are provided and within the law. Judges are an impartial party in court proceedings, and I adhere to that policy as a part of being a judge. During my previous term, there were no conflicts of interest within the states that I adjudicated, and no conflicts with other judges or other situations such as that. What would you like voters to know about you? Well, I've held this office previously, as I indicated, and I feel that I have that unique level of qualification and level of experience as a past judge of the Orphans Court. I'm a lifelong resident of Anne Arundel County. You've heard that a lot tonight. I have a Bachelor of Science degree and have served honorably on a number of boards and other groups over the past several years. These professional experiences, along with organizational skills and my small business background, make me a highly qualified candidate for judge, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to speak to the Broadneck Council of Communities. My name is Judge Stacey Scott, and I currently serve as one of the Orphans Court judges for Anne Arundel County. I was appointed by Governor Wes Moore in 2025, last year, and it has been an honor to serve the residents of Anne Arundel County in this role. For those less familiar with the Orphans Court, once again, it is Maryland's probate court, the court that handles wills, estates, and guardianships. Probate is the legal process that follows after a person dies. It ensures that a will is valid, that debts and taxes are settled, and that the remaining assets are distributed to the rightful heirs. In many ways, it is the court that helps families navigate some of life's hardest transitions. A little bit about me. I am a proud Annapolis native, educated in Annapolis from kindergarten through high school. I earned my Bachelor's of Science in Communication Studies from Towson University, where I competed on the speech and debate team. I obtained my law degree from Howard University School of Law. I also studied abroad at Oxford University in England, focusing on comparative trial practices and European Union law. My path to law began at age 12, when I learned about the legacy of Thurgood Marshall. Watching the Eyes on the Prize series showed me the profound impact attorneys can have on society. Professionally, I am licensed to practice law in Maryland, DC, and New Jersey. I've spent more than 15 years as an e-discovery attorney specializing in antitrust law, and I served as an attorney advisor for the U.S. Small Administration during the COVID-19 pandemic. This year, I was selected to serve on the Conference of Orphans Court Judges for Maryland. So why am I running? I am running because families deserve clarity and compassion during moments of grief. I'm also running because legacy is important, and I'm running because the way that we treat people in their hardest moments of grief reflects who we are as a community. When families come before the Orphans Court, they are not coming with celebration, they're coming with loss. Wills and estates are not just legal documents, they're the final chapter of a person's stories. They deserve a judge who listens. My name is Judge Stacey Scott, and I would be honored to continue serving the residents of Anne Arundel County as judge of the Orphans Court. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for coming this evening, and thank you for staying this late in the process. And I have to ask you to remember to stay late in the process of marking your ballots too, because we are way down there at the bottom of the ballot. And some people get there and they're just like, oh, well, that's an interesting name, I'll do that, or they just skip us altogether. Please don't do that. Please remember what you've heard tonight and think carefully about who should serve on our Orphans Court. You've heard from Judge Stacey Scott a summary of what the Orphans Court does. That's very accurate. It gets printed in handouts from the Register of Wills and the Orphans Court, and you will very clearly understand what we do if you think about the most difficult moments of someone's life when they've lost a loved one and they're trying to resolve the estate and problems with the estate. Why am I good to deal with that? 7 years I served on our Orphans Court. I've been an attorney in the state of Maryland for 45 years. I have served as a litigator most of that time. I represented healthcare providers in cases involving all sorts of needs and problems across the state during that time. I've also raised 2 children, and I spent a lot of time doing what Beau does, a little bit up the road in Severna Park. I'm the president of the Greater Severna Park Council and have been for about 20 years. I've also been a member of our Board of Education. I was appointed to the Anne Arundel County Orphans Court by Judge Hogan to fill an unexpired term, much as Judge Scott was. And then I was elected in 2018 to a full term, so the total was 7 years. I served with Judge Rzepkowski. He did a great job. He's not an attorney, but he learned what he needed to know, and he did a great job, so put that there. I would just like for you to think about who can keep things running smoothly at the court. We've had some embarrassments. In the last couple of years, we've had problems. People didn't get their matters processed as they should because of problems in the Register of Wills office and the Orphans Court. When Jasmine Jackson was appointed as Register of Wills, she has done a masterful job of improving things, and I applaud her. And you might find that interesting because we're of different parties, but I just want to point out the party doesn't matter in these jobs. These aren't jobs that involve issues. It's not who do we support because they're affiliated with this elected official or that one. This is a matter of who can do the job well. I'll just ask you to keep all that in mind, and any questions, I'll be around. Thank you very much.
And the last candidate this evening is for State Delegate 30A. You'll come back on May 14th, and we'll have all the other candidates. Bradley was unable to make that one, but Bradley O'Neill is the last candidate of the evening, so you got your time.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for being here tonight. My name is Bradley K. O'Neill, and after 27 years of being a part of our community, I'm running for the Maryland House of Delegates to serve District 30A. You see, Annapolis is not just where I'm from, it is the community that raised me. I grew up in the Severn Grove community, just off Bestgate Road. I attended Rolling Knolls Elementary School, Bates Middle School, and graduated from Annapolis High School. I played sports, served in student government, and earned the rank of Eagle Scout. Those experiences taught me the values, or helped shape my values around discipline, leadership, service, and the commitment to something bigger than myself. Over the years, I've had the privilege to play professional baseball, build businesses, begin work in beekeeping, navigate the United States patent and trademark processes through my own experiences obtaining multiple pieces of intellectual property. And on top of that, I was fortunate enough to work right here within our community as a banker for Navy Federal Credit Union. Those experiences gave me a real-world understanding as to what it is people carry every day, and that is why I'm running. District 38 deserves representation that is accessible, locally grounded, serious, and visibly present within our community year after year. This campaign is not about a title. It is strictly about service. It is about whether people can afford to stay here in Maryland, raise families here, grow older here, and feel truly seen by the people who represent them. My priorities are centered on affordability, long-term retention, infrastructure coordination, youth opportunity, and environmental stewardship, particularly as it relates to the honeybee population. Those priorities are rooted in the everyday work of representation. Through careful use of public resources, stronger coordination between city and state leaders so local concerns do not sit unresolved year after year. Expanding opportunity for our young people through education, workforce pathways, mentorship, athletics, and the exposure to future possibilities. Finally, responsible stewardship of the land, water, habitat, and the pollinators that will continue to support the long-term well-being of our communities for generations to come. As I close out my portion of tonight, I'd like to leave you with one last thought. Though a young man may stand before you, what I hope you see and what I hope you consider is the experienced being, shaped by this community, tested through experience, and prepared to dedicate his life to serious public service for the benefit of our home. My name is Bradley K. O'Neill. I was born and raised here in Annapolis, and after 27 years being a part of our community, I'm running for the Maryland House of Delegates to serve the people of District 30A. My values are clear, my commitment is long-term, and if I'm given the privilege to serve, I will represent you, your families, and our community with honesty, integrity, purpose, true grit, and the firmness thereof. Thank you again for being here tonight. I would be truly honored to earn your support.
So just a few announcements, and I want to first thank everybody for coming tonight. Thank you for emailing back and being participants in this. This is important. While often it's called the down offices or for on the ballot, your roles are what run this county and allow us as a state to function. Just from that standpoint, these positions are important, as you've heard. Consider it. Please go out and do your own research. and you know, make your choices in both June and then again in November. So I want to thank all of you for taking the time to be here.